Good morning. Welcome to day 15 for 99 days. I hope you all had a nice weekend. Perhaps did some catching up with the videos. Funnily enough, the video with the challenge to overcome a lack belief has been viewed the least time of all. Like people are unconsciously skipping that one, or consciously. Today, I want to talk about control. A very, very strong topic for anyone who lives from the mind, from the brain, who thinks that the brain is the one who controls life. There you go. That already starts. Yeah, control is a very interesting one. We all have this. And control is literally making sure that the outcome is meeting your expectations. So control is literally just making sure that my expectations are being met in a way I define the expectation. And we control many, many different things. We control even how our children are doing the dishes. Because if they don't meet our expectations, like the dishes being completely clean, then our expectations aren't met, so we like to control that process. And that can end up like doing the dishes all by ourselves every night, because then we're sure that it's clean. And we control the lives of our kids when they grow up, because we are afraid that something will happen to them, or we're afraid that they might not succeed in school, or the level of education is not high enough. So we make sure that we help them with everything we can. But in fact, if we're really honest, we're controlling the outcome, that they are meeting our expectations. And control mechanisms are easy to see at work, where the hierarchical system, that the boss has control over what the team or the whole company or whatever he's responsible for is doing, immediately also shows that the people who are following up this command and control structure, that it shows now very greatly that people become disempowered and disengaged. They become just followers. So, for example, if you want to control the fact that your child is always safe, and you have fear of letting him go out on the street by himself on a bike, or depending on the age, or just biking by himself at night alone, you are obviously, you would say, like, of course I'm afraid and I want to control that because I don't want to lose my child. But at the same time, you prevent your child to learn and experiment, and to learn and make mistakes, little ones. Because if you don't give that space for learning at a young age, he's suddenly required by the age of 16 or 18 to know it all, to know how to be streetwise, to know how to anticipate in traffic, to know how to deal with people on the streets who are nasty to you, and you have to learn those things. We have to learn things in life by just doing it ourselves, by experimenting. And if someone else is controlling that for us and leaves no room for experiment, or no room for failure, such an interesting word, failure, because it has so much meaning, like negative meaning to it, then we never have room to grow. Because it is shown many times in history that people with greatest success are the ones who were completely willing to make mistakes and to fail, because they learned from that, and that accelerated their growth. You cannot just learn from doing everything perfect. And it's really, really interesting to explore your life on where you take control on the situation. And then it's really interesting, what am I trying to control here? So what expectation am I expecting here to happen in the near future as a result of my control action? And then ask yourself, and what if that expectation is not met? What will happen then? Well, then you might come up with a fear, or yeah, mostly it's a fear that something is not according to your plan, or not successful, or not secured, or but if you have one expectation to be met because of that action for control, you leave out the chance of many other results that can be an outcome as well, because you don't keep those options open. You just focus on one option. And if you're really good in controlling, you can hold on very long to this system, and it works out well in your life until something very unexpected is coming. And then you suddenly you get ill, or unexpected grief, or whatever. Or it can be less big, but you can hold on really long to this control process, but it costs a lot of energy. Because making sure that the expectation, the outcome is met, you have a lot of steps in the process being secured, because you know it, you know how it works, you think. So you want to make sure that all these steps are being met. So every step in the way you have to control. That's all energy, energy, energy. Just look at this simple example of doing dishes, or children cleaning the kitchen instead of you doing it after cooking. So you have to control how they clean the dishes, how they put them back in the cupboards, if it's in the right one, if they've done everything well, etc., etc. Instead of using that valuable time after dinner to just relax and do something else which is more valuable for you. And it's a win-win. At the same time, your children learn to do something by themselves and take up responsibility for taking care of the house together as a family. And this is a very simple example, and don't push it away like, okay, well, I do that's okay, that one is easy. But in other areas where it's not easy for you, you take control. I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure. Perhaps you want to change your career, and you're already afraid of that the outcome is not being met. And what is that outcome? that you don't earn enough, that you're not successful enough in a new career, that you can't find a job. So from that sense of control, from that fear, you just don't move. So a lot of people who are strongly in control of their lives don't seem to be able to move. Because in their mind, they're not even controlling the process. They don't even start the process at all. They just stop. Because in their mind, the whole process has already been done. They go through all the steps, and then in the end, no, I'm not sure I'm going to meet that expectation, so I'm not going to do the whole process. Nothing happens. And every time, or every other couple of weeks, couple of months, that desire to change your job comes up again. Because you're not happy. Or you have a passion that really excites you and you want to integrate that in your work. But you might not have the right papers. And then the mind comes up, well, if I don't have the right papers, I don't have the right education, then probably no one will accept me in that role, so I won't get that role. How do you know? If you don't try, you don't know. And if you try, you have to be open that some of the steps might feel either uncomfortable or feel as a failure or a mistake. But then you might have discovered something else that you couldn't even discover because you weren't even trying. And when we talk about control, the fear for not being able to earn money, not being able to live the life we're used to, is huge. Because we live in an economy, in a society where money is strongly needed, but it's also strongly seen as a lack belief. So we live actually to work. We live every day to make sure we have that income we need. And because our current job guarantees that income, well, the guarantee is only limited because if the reorganization in your company is suddenly there, then you can get fired. So it's very, very fragile guarantee. But still, in our society, we believe that that's a very strong security. And it has been in the past because 10, 20, 30 years ago, people did have jobs for like 30 years in a row. But now we are afraid to move because the market has changed and the jobs aren't easy to find, or we have turned 50 or 50 plus, and no one will take us as valuable anymore, and we cannot change career because it is told by others that it's really difficult to find something when you're that age, or you cannot change that. Why do you believe that? Why do you believe that to be true for you? And what are you actually not being honest about? I strongly believe that everyone who follows his passion will be successful in that area. Because a passion, or even I would rephrase it, his talents, but with an energy to it, a passionate energy to it, that he really loves doing it, Because following your talents and being clear on your talents and your passions, then the job comes naturally to you, effortlessly. And yes, you might have to convince organizations, companies that you might not have the right papers. Or you might have to convince your future clients that you do have the experience and that you are valuable to them. But I know and I've tested and I have experienced that if you believe in yourself, and this is not a cliche, this is really true. If you believe in yourself and if you're passionate about it, and if you're driven to reach that goal that you have envisioned, and that's something different than taking control of the expectation of the outcome. But if you have a goal and you believe strongly in it, and you believe in your talents, then the other person on the other side of the table believes you. And it might need a few extra attempts to get where you want to go. It took me 3 years to get where I want to be. You can't expect the change to happen tomorrow. But you can be sure that if you don't change, life will always be like this. Are you okay with that? Are you honestly okay with that? Fine, stay in control. Stay in your fears. But accept also that it doesn't give you the energy you would like to feel. Accept that it might drain you. Accept that it's becoming a little bit boring. Just fully accept everything. So if you look at the persons and the successful persons in the world are often a good example. And it's shown in many leadership programs now, those examples, because they are really how it works. A successful person, a businessman, for instance, has set a goal, is clear about his passion about reaching that goal. He wants to become successful in A, B, or C. Or he wants to design a product which can be of benefit to his future clients because he really believes in that benefit. And then he just focuses on that goal, very masculine energy, focuses on that goal. And at the same time, he's not controlling the outcome. That's just something different. To be focused on a goal is more like you're focused on the feeling you would like to have when the result is there. It's more like you like to see your clients happy receiving what you want to make, what you want to design. But it's something different than having the outcome like my expectation is that I want to make a multi-million dollar business. And it doesn't really make a difference what I sell as long as I become rich. Well, for people who have become successful, being rich has never been a goal. That's just a very nice benefit. That came with it. But going through that process to reach that goal, it often took many years to get there. And they've accepted many mistakes. Trial and error, trial and error, trial and error until they get there. And no one pushes them off their path. Because they are focused on getting that. It's like the hunter in the back in the day, who needed to hunt a deer because they needed food for the family. If he would have let his fear get in the way, then all sorts of imagined animals will be there to take his life. So his fear would take over his skills of just sensing the field around him where potential danger might come from. But if we have real fear, it's often coming from the mind. And then we shut down the heart, the sensing area, the sensing intelligence. So we can focus on our goal to hunt that deer. So then that hunter becomes in a very alerted state to succeed in his goal. And that's very different from controlling all the different steps to hunt that. Because if you would follow the control process of today, you would make sure that you have an area where there are no big animals around, or you make sure that you have a team around you who protect you and is looking outward for the other big dangerous animals, etc., etc. And then you're so focused on the fears or the possible danger that you probably will miss the deer you want to shoot. This is just an example, of course, but it's so there are two real important things to letting go of control. For once is you completely can open up to a lot of other possibilities that you can't even think of with your mind that might be an option. So by focusing on one expectation, you leave out many others. And secondly, you are not really focused in the right way. You're focused with your mind to control your fears. And this is not the same as this masculine energy to focus on an excitement, a passion, a goal you believe in. Because if you have a goal you believe in, you trust it. You trust yourself to be good at that. You trust yourself to reach it. And just to make clear, every being, masculine or feminine energy, is not related to gender. We all have it. Only females often have a little bit more dominance of feminine energy, and the males more dominance in masculine energy. But it's just a slight difference. But that will be another topic, I think. So coming back to the control and the trust. So what it actually says, if you control every step in your life, or if you control a certain area in your life, you're not trusting life. You're not trusting that life will show you something that might fit you better, that might fit your heart desire better. Because if there's a desire within you to change something, if that's an honest desire, then trust that desire. Trust that that's the good thing for you to happen. And trust life, it will show you, because where you put your focus on, it will attract the same energy. So if you're focused on fear, it will attract fear. If you focus on trust, in believing in your passion, your capabilities, your goals, it will show you the way. And it might show in a completely different way than you might have expected. When I changed my career, or thinking about my career 3 years ago, after being interior designer for many years, I wanted to go back into consulting, actually. I was absolutely sure it wouldn't be coaching. So we don't know, and I couldn't even think of coaching the way I coach now, by the way. So I could not design this 3 years ago. I couldn't control this process 3 years ago. But looking back at it, I could see where I choose things consciously from my heart, like, oh, this really feels good. I have to do this. It doesn't make sense to spend 10,000 euros into something, but I know I have to do this. So it's we should reverse the process at every level, and trust that the outcome will be at least what's completely okay with us, and probably it will surprise you. But don't expect the outcome to be happen tomorrow. Technically you can, but that requires a different skill, switching timelines, which is technically possible. So be open to a period of uncomfortability, and be open to try to just have little experiences, little steps with just letting go of control of little things. And it often is shown in your household, the way you run your household. There's a lot of control mechanism there, because you and your partner, or even when you live alone, you do things because you're used to it, and you like this way of control having over things. And just try to do things differently, or to let go of things, to trust that the other person will do it the way he thinks or she thinks is right. And then just smile a bit to yourself when you feel this tension coming up, like, oh, might not be how I expected. Like this example of the dinner that is not cooked the way you like to have it cooked, because your guests might not be happy then. Also, what? Then you have a little bit laugh about it when it's not so nice. Who cares? Or it might be a taste you've never expected. If you let your partner cook, you might experience new tastes you never thought you liked. And please try to take at least baby steps in this, because it's so liberating to let go of control. It's so liberating. And it gives you a lot of energy during the day, just by thinking like, oh, I don't have to control this process. Okay. There's time for something else. And then something goes wrong. Something gets washed in the wrong way and your favorite dress is ruined. Is it the end of the world? Just give people around you the trust that they will do things right. Not exactly the way you like it, but how sure can you be that that's the only way? And it's very directly related to the topic we had earlier about knowing it better. And it's very directly related to opening up to other perspectives. But this control mechanism is something that's very unconsciously in your system. And of course, just to point out, there are situations where control is needed, like in an emergency. There is someone who needs to take control on the fact that people might be dying or in danger, like how firemen work. And of course, control is then necessary. Like our body has this ability to get in a fight and flight state. Of course, that's there, designed for a reason. Of course, we need to be able to run when there's suddenly a danger in front of us. Or we need to be able to defend ourselves. But that's not the control I'm talking about. I'm control about the ego. The ego wants to get in to make sure that the desired outcome is there. But that's purely driven from ego. The fight-flight reaction is driven from your innate intelligence, from your body. But the difficulty is when we get into control mechanisms, or actually the painful thing is that we give our body the same signal that it has to get in a fight-flight state, because we have to control from the possible danger outside of us, the potential danger outside of us. So we constantly put our body in a fight-flight state. That's why we get so stressed. That's why we have burnouts. People who are pursuing jobs in working circumstances they're really not happy with, but they do it because they have to. They think they're responsible there for a certain process, and they feel a failure if they don't do it, or they're afraid to lose their jobs, or whatever has resulted to burnout. They're trying to survive, to take control over things they don't really have control over, but it's a way to survive in that job. Or they just let go of everything and they don't do anything anymore because they're completely paralyzed. But it's a sign of all the same thing. You're afraid that the outcome, your expectation, is not met. Look at that. What's that outcome you expect? And why do you expect it like that? Are you open to see other options? Are you open to see other ways to the same potential same result or potential same feeling it might give? Would you be happy to live in a huge mansion, being stressed if you can pay the bills every month, or would you like to live happily and feeling liberated? And what's more important? Is the life of your child only success if he has the right education? Lots of successful people didn't have any education. They were the dropouts, the famous dropouts, because they were so different in their thinking. They were just fully focused on, once they dropped out, on their on their belief, on their passion, on their goal. So they didn't care about the education or the norms around it or the expectations around it. And I can hear you thinking, well, that's just the exception. That's not for me. Really? Why is it not for you? Perhaps not in the same greatness or in the same doesn't have to be so outspoken and like a Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or whatever. But there might be areas in their lives where they weren't happy, where they couldn't let go of control. So in the business they became a success, but there might have been other areas where they were having struggles. So start with just exploring or becoming aware of where you take control and focus on the little things. And of course you can integrate it in the challenge of coming a lack belief, changing something, doing something you are afraid to do actually. But if that's too much at the same time, it really, really helps to just look at the little things. And especially the ones where you want to have control over what other people do. Those are the ones you can most easily let go finally, because I could almost say, who the hell do you think you can control their lives? Who the hell do you think you can control their happiness? Because ultimately control is selfish, pure selfish. Even if you take care of others in this process, it's pure selfish. It's selfish because you're controlling and covering up for your fear. So you ensure that you feel good all the time. At least that's what you think. That's what you believe to be true. And with trust, positivity comes in. So positive thinking helps to trust the process, to push away negative thoughts, because that's what come up, the lack beliefs in ourselves. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. It won't succeed. Try to be positive. Try to focus on a positive outcome. Try to, and that's something I'm still learning. Just try to be always positive. And not positive in a superficial way, but really just trust, coming from trust. So if perhaps in another session we can go through the process of changing your life when you want to look at bigger things. How you can help yourself in trusting that process, trusting that change. And honestly, you will be so surprised if you let go of control. Life is so much more fun then, and light, and more easy. And you get a different definition on mistakes, or a different feeling around mistakes. Because a mistake, that word is just it has a energy to it, which is negative. Like the red pencil from the teacher when you were young and you had your results from your test and it was all red. When I even think about that, and I was quite a good student, but still, I also somehow developed this drive within me to be perfect in things, so I would please my parents. That's what I would say. I would even feel safe with my parents. So the red pencil was like contraction for me. I made a mistake. So write down or contemplate or whatever feels good to you on where you see yourself taking control, and look at the levels beneath expectations, the outcome. Just explore, what if that expectation is not met? What am I afraid of that will happen? Or what I don't like even to happen. Sometimes it's just a dislike. I don't like a messy kitchen. Or I don't like it when the things are not right in the right cupboard, in the right way. Why don't you like that? What does that do with you? What kind of feeling does that give? Just explore. There's no right or wrong, and for some things you are okay with just controlling the process. But I'm sure there are more times when you use control to cover up something else. Okay. I'm only just noticing the noise of the neighbor house where the painter is working. I hope that noise doesn't override my voice. And actually, there's one thing you can take a little bit control of. Just give more directions to these 99 days. We're about with a group of 20, 25 people we're actively following. Here you can be a little bit more selfish in the sense that you can ask for special topics. Something you don't really get. And if you want to do it privately, that's fine. I won't use names. You feel uncomfortable about something, you don't want to share it in a group, good. Let me know and I will dive into a subject a little bit more deeper or again, or and I'm just making a joke that you control the process because you cannot really control what I'm saying, but I was just thinking we have another, I don't know, 80 something days. So you can have custom made sessions for you. Custom made in the sense that you can put in a request that we talk about something, that I share something on a certain topic. And if I have nothing to share about, I'll let you know. And don't worry if nothing comes up from either one of you. There's lots to still to share. And you can also trust this process. Trust that I will share. What comes up within me is to the benefit of the group and each and every one of you. Just play with control and trust, control and trust. Okay, I'm gonna leave it. And I'll see you tomorrow at 9. Bye, have a nice day.